Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Erica.
Today, we're bringing you another one of our sports lessons, and this time, we're going to go to a boxing match.
That's right. So we're going to be learning language that you can use if you're talking about boxing, but not only boxing, right?
Right. We can also use this language for describing a fight or somebody that's fighting.
Okay, so not that we're asking our listeners to get into fights, but if ever you see a fight, at least now you'll have the language to talk about it.
Exactly. So let's listen to our dialogue for the first time. It might sound familiar. We have the legendary Rocky Balboa at English Pod fighting for the heavyweight championship. So let's see what happens.
Welcome back, boxing fans. My name is Rick Fields, and here with me is the man with the iron jaw, Bob Copeland.
Thank you, Rick. We're coming to you live from Las Vegas. We're in the beautiful MGM Grand Hotel and Casino, where the World Heavyweight Championship is about to get underway.
That's right, Bob. We're about to witness the legendary Italian stallion himself, Rocky Balboa, square off against his lifetime rival, Apollo Creed. This will be a gruesome match for sure.
Both fighters are in the ring, and we are about to begin.
In the blue corner, weighing in at 220 pounds, the former heavyweight champion of the world, the master of disaster, the one and only Apollo Creed. In the red corner, weighing 218 pounds, and with a record of 47 wins and 37 knockouts, the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the Italian stallion, Rocky Balboa.
There's the bell, and this fight is underway. Apollo quickly attacks Rocky with quick, strong jabs. Rocky dodges successfully and counterattacks with a strong right hook.
Apollo is cut. Rocky landed a strong blow to his right eyebrow and cut him.
This is his chance. Rocky quickly throws a left, right, another left. Apollo is getting pounded.
Apollo recovers with a powerful haymaker and catches Rocky off guard. He's down. The ref starts the count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wow, sounds like a great fight.
Amazing fight, and I don't know who's going to win. Rocky apparently got knocked down. What do you think will happen?
Well, if I know anything about Rocky Balboa, he will not stay knocked down for long.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the language we saw in this dialogue in Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Well, Rick Fields said that we have a very gruesome match tonight.
A gruesome match.
Gruesome.
All right, so if something is gruesome...
It's bad, it's terrible, it's bloody.
Okay, bloody, terrible, very hard, or like a gruesome fight would be a very bloody fight.
Yeah, or a gruesome film.
Okay, very good. So, gruesome.
Now, they mentioned that both fighters are in the ring.
Both fighters are in the ring.
The ring.
Okay, so the ring is the physical space where they fight.
But isn't it square?
Yeah, it is square. It is not really circular, but it's called a boxing ring. I'm not really sure why.
Well, maybe one of our listeners knows and can tell us about that, because I am not an expert on boxing. But what I do know is our next word. They were describing Rocky Balboa's career, and they said he had 37 knockouts.
Okay, a knockout.
A knockout.
In this sense, knockout is a noun. A knockout is when a fighter hits the other fighter and he falls to the ground and he can't get up in 10 seconds because he's tired, he's dizzy, he's hurt.
Okay, so
that's a knockout.
Okay, so this is a technical boxing word. It's the action of falling to the ground and not getting up.
Right, but there's also a verb, to knock out.
Or to knock someone out. So
exactly.
So when you say, I knocked this guy out.
It means I hit him so hard that he fell to the floor and maybe he was unconscious for a while.
So he fell asleep, basically.
Almost.
Yeah.
So it's very similar, the noun form to the verb form. Like basically, if you knock someone out, you get a knockout.
Okay, so to knock someone out, a knockout.
All right. Now for our next word, we saw as Apollo quickly began to jab Rocky Balboa.
So the noun, a jab.
So a jab. Quick jabs.
So a jab is a kind of punch, right?
It's a fast, short, but not very strong punch.
Okay, so a technical boxing word, a jab.
A jab.
This can also be a verb, right?
Right, so to jab. To jab. Now, Apollo was throwing jabs and Rocky began to dodge.
All right, and that's our next word, to dodge.
Dodge.
D-O-D-G-E, to dodge.
All right, so if you dodge, you're trying to avoid getting hit.
Right, so you move your body so that you're not hit.
Exactly. Now, we can also use it in different ways. Not only do you dodge when somebody's trying to punch you, you can also, for example, dodge a bullet.
Right, so when you dodge a bullet, you avoid some bad situation or some bad event.
Right, so we have many examples of dodge used in other contexts, so why don't we listen to some examples?
Example 1. See that guy dodging through the traffic? He's going to get hit by a car if he's not careful. Example 2.
Well, the storm turned south, so it looks like we managed to dodge a bullet.
Example 3. Look, you're the one who is in charge of sales and the numbers are down. It's your problem, so stop trying to dodge your responsibilities.
You know, that word reminds me of another sport, dodgeball.
Oh, dodgeball, exactly. Same principle.
Yeah, but that's an entirely different lesson. I think we need to focus here on the boxing vocabulary. So the announcers said that Apollo is getting pounded.
To get pounded.
To get pounded.
Now, if someone is getting pounded...
They're getting hit really hard.
And a lot.
So to get pounded.
Get pounded. And now we have one more word, and it's also another boxing term called a haymaker.
A powerful haymaker.
Okay, so Apollo received a powerful haymaker.
Now, this word is actually new to me. So, Marco, what does it mean?
Basically, it's a very strong, very wild punch.
Okay, so you don't have really good form. Your body is kind of moving all over the place.
Right, so you don't have much balance, so you just throw your entire body and your fist at someone to hit them as hard as you can. That's a haymaker.
All right, a technical boxing word here for you guys. But now we've got some interesting phrases for you on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, so on Fluency Builder today, we're going to take a look at some of these phrases, and we have 4 of them for you today. So let's get started with the first one.
Well, the announcers said that the boxing match was about to get underway.
Okay, to get underway.
To get underway.
So again, this is another way of saying about to begin.
Right.
All right, so we're about to get underway with this new project.
Or the meeting's just about to get underway, so make sure everyone's here.
Very good. So the match was about to get underway, and the sports announcer said that Rocky Balboa is going to square off against his lifetime rival.
So we're going to look at this phrase, to square off against someone.
All right, I'm going to square off against Jim.
All right, when you square off against Jim, you get ready to fight with him or to compete with him, right?
Right, so we're about to have a 1-to-1 competition.
So this is like a sports word, but it's also really commonly used in a lot of different contexts. So why don't we hear a few more examples of how we can use this phrase, to square off?
Example 1.
The two countries are moving their armies close to the borders as they prepare to square off in a border dispute.
Example 2. Italy and Brazil are squaring off in the final game this afternoon. Example 3.
Lisa and Daniel squared off against each other in the marketing meeting today. They were both pretty angry.
All right, so great examples, and I think we can use it now not only in boxing but in other situations.
Now, Bob said that Rocky landed a strong blow.
to land a strong blow.
All right, so land a strong blow. Now, let's break this down. So a blow.
A blow is a punch or a hit.
Okay, and when you land a strong blow, what happens?
You basically successfully hit your opponent with a punch or hit.
So you hit them, so your fist meets their body.
Yes, so your fist landed on their body.
So I could also change this a little bit. I could say, I landed a punch.
Right. Or in boxing terms, he landed a strong left jab.
Okay, so to land a blow.
The announcer described it as Rock threw a left.
To throw a left.
So he said he threw a left and a right.
Now again, we'll take this one apart. So a left, what are we talking about?
Basically a left punch, but we can omit punch.
Okay, so it's a punch with your left hand, but the verb throw, you throw a left punch.
So basically you punch somebody with your left.
Okay, so it's just another way of saying to punch someone.
To punch someone, right?
Yeah.
So Bob started to throw some punches at the other guy.
All right, or look over there, that guy's throwing punches.
All right, so to throw a left, to throw a punch.
Now, again, you can use this in a lot of different ways with a lot of different types of punches. So you could say to throw a jab.
Okay, or throw an uppercut.
Or throw a hook.
Okay, so now that we've seen all these phrases, why don't we listen to the dialogue for the very last time, and we'll come back in a little bit.
Welcome back, boxing fans. My name is Rick Fields, and here with me is the man with the iron jaw, Bob Copeland.
Thank you, Rick. We're coming to you live from Las Vegas. We're in the beautiful MGM Grand Hotel and Casino, where the World Heavyweight Championship is about to get underway.
That's right, Bob. We're about to witness the legendary Italian stallion himself, Rocky Balboa, square off against his lifetime rival, Apollo Creed. This will be a gruesome match for sure.
Both fighters are in the ring, and we are about to begin.
In the blue corner, weighing in at 220 pounds, the former heavyweight champion of the world, the master of disaster, the one and only Apollo Creed. In the red corner, weighing 218 pounds, and with a record of 47 wins and 37 knockouts, the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the Italian stallion, Rocky Balboa.
There's the bell, and this fight is underway. Apollo quickly attacks Rocky with quick, strong jabs. Rocky dodges successfully and counterattacks with a strong right hook.
Apollo is cut. Rocky landed a strong blow to his right eyebrow and cut him.
This is his chance. Rocky quickly throws a left, right, another left. Apollo is getting pounded.
Apollo recovers with a powerful haymaker and catches Rocky off guard. He's down. The ref starts the count.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So as I mentioned, Marco, I'm not really that much of a fan or that knowledgeable about boxing. And actually, this is becoming a theme in these sports lessons, isn't it?
Well, boxing is a very popular sport in North America. I'm not really that big of a fan, but I have seen a couple of matches, and it's very interesting because, as we saw in our dialogue, most big fights take place in Las Vegas at some big hotel.
Right, but you said it's super popular and everyone wants to watch these matches, and obviously everyone can't go to Las Vegas. So what's the common way for most people to watch these boxing matches?
Right, so in the United States, there's something very popular called pay-per-view, and I'm sure in your countries you have something similar. Basically, pay-per-view, you can buy the fight so you can have access to it and watch it on your TV.
But you only pay one time to watch like maybe 2 hours, right?
Right. So let's say you're at your house, it's 6 o'clock, and the fight begins at 8. So you can call your TV cable company, or maybe use on the internet with a credit card, and they activate it on your TV so you can watch the fight. And when it's over, well, you finished watching it.
Now, it's pretty expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, pay-per-view can be very expensive depending on what event it is, because sometimes it's boxing matches, concerts, or special events. So it can maybe cost, I don't know, $60, $80, maybe $100. So it's very popular for one house to buy the pay-per-view, and then many friends come over and everyone chips in with $5 or $10 and everyone watches it on one TV.
All right, so the pay-per-view boxing party, a common way to watch the sport in America.
Exactly.
Now, why don't you guys visit our website and tell us about boxing? Do you guys like it? Do you know anything about it? Are you guys maybe even boxers yourselves?
Or former boxers. All right, so we'll see you guys at our website. And also, if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them there as well.
You can find us at englishpod.com. And until next time, thanks for listening and goodbye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. A plastic protective piece placed inside the mouth to protect the teeth.
Mouth guard.
Causes horror or disgust.
Gruesome.
To prepare to fight.
Square off.
Shorts worn for swimming or athletics.
Trunks.
Land.
Land.
An elasticated belt with a pouch to support the genitals, worn by male athletes.
Jockstrap.
Avoid being hit by something.
Dodges.
A quick, strong blow with the head.
Headbutt.
Hit hard multiple times.
Pounded.
An illegal blow below the waist.
Low blow.
Let's try that faster. To prepare to fight.
Square off.
Hit hard multiple times.
Pounded.
Land.
Land.
An illegal blow below the waist.
Low blow.
Causes horror or disgust.
Gruesome.
A quick, strong blow with the head.
Headbutt.
An elasticated belt with a pouch to support the genitals, worn by male athletes.
Jockstrap.
Avoid being hit by something.
Dodges.
Shorts worn for swimming or athletics.
Trunks.
A plastic protective piece placed inside the mouth to protect the teeth.
Mouth guard.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Gruesome.
Last night's match was one of the most gruesome fights I've ever seen. Both fighters were bleeding heavily.
Gruesome.
Wow, that is one gruesome looking cut. You might need to go to the doctor and get stitches.
Gruesome.
The police described the scene of the crime in gruesome detail.
Square off.
The two countries are moving their armies close to the borders as they prepare to square off in a border dispute.
Square off.
Italy and Brazil are squaring off in the final game this afternoon.
Square off.
Lisa and Daniel squared off against each other in the marketing meeting today. They were both pretty angry.
Land.
Wow, Apollo just landed an impressive right hook to Rocky's ribs. That's going to hurt.
Land.
Hey, I didn't lose too badly in the fight yesterday. I landed a few good punches here and there.
Land.
Land an uppercut while he moves closer to you, and you will be sure to win the fight.
Dodges.
See that guy dodging through the traffic? He's going to get hit by a car if he's not careful.
Dodges.
Well, the storm turned south, so it looks like we managed to dodge a bullet.
Dodges.
Look, you're the one who is in charge of sales, and the numbers are down. It's your problem, so stop trying to dodge your responsibilities.
Pounded.
If you say one more thing about my mother, I'm going to pound you.
Pounded.
Rocky was knocked out in the 5th round. He was getting pounded all night long.
Pounded.
I don't think that movie is going to win any awards. It was pounded by the critics. Hello, English learners. Welcome back to another lesson with us at English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we don't feel very good.
That's right. Actually, in this lesson, we're talking about a hangover.
Hangover. Wow, that's an interesting word. What does that mean?
Well, when you drink beer or wine or vodka and you drink too much of it, the next morning you have a hangover.
Okay, so a lot of our listeners have probably experienced a hangover before.
It's very likely.
But the problem is when you have to go to work the next day.
Yes, and you might need to actually miss work, but you need some good words and phrases to describe how bad you feel.
Okay, so let's listen to this dialogue for the first time. We have a guy describing his hangover and why he missed work that day.
Are you okay, man? You don't look very well.
I feel terrible. I went out last night with Trevor and things got a little out of hand.
Nice. So where did you guys go?
We hit up a couple of local bars and met up with some friends. Everything was cool until Mike came along, and it turned out that it was his birthday yesterday.
Oh no. Mike's birthday is a drink fest for sure.
Tell me about it. We drank everything in the bar.
Is that why you missed work today?
Yeah, I woke up this morning feeling really nauseous. I threw up like 5 times.
Ew.
I was so dehydrated that I drank a gallon of water and my head has been pounding all day. I swear, I am never going to drink again.
Too bad, man. Tonight is Tracy's going away party, and she asked if you were going to go.
Oh yeah? I'm there.
All right, so he's never drinking again, but then at the next chance for a party, he's already ready to go.
I think that's the typical lie of every person that drinks. They say, I'll never drink again, but a week later or a month later, they are again.
Or a day later.
All right, so we saw some great vocab here, so let's look at it now in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
I'm going to look at 5 words here. Now, the first one, they talked about how Mike's birthday is a drink fest.
A drink fest.
It's a drink fest.
All right, so we have this word drink fest. Now, what is this fest part?
Well, maybe you recognize the word Oktoberfest.
Okay, or festival.
So fest is like a party. There's lots of food. There's lots of drink. A drink fest is an event where there's a lot of drinks.
Okay, so can I have different types of fests?
Yeah, this is a really informal sort of slang way of saying there's lots of something. So I could say, oh my God, it's a puppy fest.
So there are a lot of puppies. Or I can say like a fast food fest.
Okay, so you're eating a lot of fast food.
There's a lot of fast food.
Yep.
All right, so fest, interesting. Now, when he was describing his hangover, he said that he felt really nauseous.
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 Now, I always have a hard time spelling this word. So Nauseous. Nauseous.
Nauseous. It kind of seems like you should say nauseous.
Right, but
you say nauseous.
yeah. Okay, so when you're feeling nauseous, what do you feel like?
So you feel dizzy, you don't feel very well.
Like your stomach hurts.
Yeah, and your head is kind of spinning.
Okay, and you feel like you might throw up.
Right, exactly. Now, this word that you just mentioned, throw up, is actually our next word, and, well, we're not going to describe it. Why don't we just listen to a person throwing up?
Oh, Marco, that was horrible.
Well, that's the only way we could actually explain throw up. I mean, it's kind of a hard word to explain, but I'm sure everyone understands now what it means, right?
Okay, the word is to throw up.
To throw up.
To throw up. Our next word. Now, our guy who's hungover, he said, I was so dehydrated.
Dehydrated.
To be dehydrated.
So this is an adjective, and it means that I have no water in my body.
Exactly.
Okay, so I am dehydrated. I need water.
Yeah, common feeling after drinking too much beer, huh?
Exactly.
Now, our final word, he said he had a headache, and he said, my head's been pounding all day.
Okay, so his head has been pounding all day.
Now, this verb, pounding, it sounds like this.
All right, so a clear example of what your head feels like when you have this very bad headache.
You can also say, I have a pounding headache.
I have a pounding headache, exactly.
Or my head is pounding.
All right, so 5 great words that we just looked at right now. So why don't we listen to our dialogue a second time? Let's slow it down just a little bit, and then we'll come back and take a look at some phrases.
Are you okay, man? You don't look very well.
I feel terrible. I went out last night with Trevor and things got a little out of hand.
Nice. So where did you guys go?
We hit up a couple of local bars and met up with some friends. Everything was cool until Mike came along, and it turned out that it was his birthday yesterday.
Oh no. Mike's birthday is a drink fest for sure.
Tell me about it. We drank everything in the bar.
Is that why you missed work today?
Yeah, I woke up this morning feeling really nauseous. I threw up like 5 times.
Ew.
I was so dehydrated that I drank a gallon of water, and my head has been pounding all day. I swear, I am never going to drink again.
Too bad, man. Tonight is Tracy's going away party, and she asked if you were going to go.
Oh yeah? I'm there.
All right, well, that was a little easier to understand this time. Now, you mentioned that we've got some great phrases, so let's go to them now in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, so as we heard in the dialogue, the party was, I think it was a great party, right?
Well, it sounds like it was fantastic.
Well, apparently it was a great party, and he said that he went out with Trevor, and things got a little out of hand.
Things got a little out of hand.
Right, so things got a little out of hand.
Now, to get out of hand, what's that mean?
Well, we have some examples, so let's listen to a couple of them before we explain it.
Example 1.
Honey, the kids are getting a little out of hand. Can you do something?
Example 2.
Guys, this argument is getting out of hand. Let's all calm down.
Example 3.
The party last night got out of hand. The neighbors called the police.
Okay, so when things get out of hand, you lose control.
Exactly, they get out of control, just a little bit maybe.
Yeah, go a little crazy.
All right, so things got a little out of hand. Now, the opposite of this was everything was cool.
Everything was cool.
So everything was cool.
So basically, everything was okay, everything was relaxed, everything was going fine.
Exactly. And then Mike came along, and then things got a little out of hand.
Oh, that Mike.
And now for our last phrase. He was describing that Mike's birthday party was a drink fest, right?
And then his friend agreed. He said, tell me about it.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it.
Now, what does this mean exactly when he says, tell me about it?
Basically, it means I completely understand.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I could say, oh my God, Marco, it's so hot outside today.
Right, and I would say, oh, I know, tell me about it. Right? So I'm saying, yeah, I agree with you, you are right.
Yep.
Very good. So these phrases, okay, so 3 great phrases that we just looked at. Let's listen to our dialogue for the last time, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more.
Are you okay, man? You don't look very well.
I feel terrible. I went out last night with Trevor, and things got a little out of hand.
Nice. So where did you guys go?
We hit up a couple of local bars and met up with some friends. Everything was cool until Mike came along, and it turned out that it was his birthday yesterday.
Oh no. Mike's birthday is a drink fest for sure.
Tell me about it. We drank everything in the bar.
Is that why you missed work today?
Yeah, I woke up this morning feeling really nauseous. I threw up like 5 times.
Ew.
I was so dehydrated that I drank a gallon of water, and my head has been pounding all day. I swear, I am never going to drink again.
Too bad, man. Tonight is Tracy's going away party, and she asked if you were going to go.
Oh yeah? I'm there.
So it sounds like these guys sure like to go out and have a few drinks, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a very common thing among, well, young people, usually in the United States. You know, after a day at the office or something, they'll go, or even Europe, they'll go to the pub, right?
Yeah, but the thing is that in America and Canada, we're very careful about alcohol and young people, right?
Yeah, exactly. The legal drinking age in the most part of the United States is 21 years of age.
And really, many parents or families will never let their children drink alcohol until they're 21.
Right. And also the laws that control alcohol, like for example, on television, if you notice a TV commercial with a beer or a wine, you will never see the person actually drinking it. It's illegal.
Yeah, that's true.
While in other countries, it's okay. You'll see people drinking it and having fun. In these commercials, they can only maybe put them close to their lips, but not drink it.
Interesting. And another weird thing is that, sometimes you might want to sit in your back garden or out on your your porch and have a beer after work, right? But in places it's totally illegal to do that. You can't be outside with alcohol.
Right, you can't be seen drinking, or you
Yeah.
can't be on the sidewalk or on a bus drinking. Well, in other places you can, right?
You can just have a beer on the subway.
So it's a little bit different policies on alcohol control. What do you guys think about it? Do you think it's correct, or do you think maybe it's a little bit too exaggerated?
Come to our website, englishpod.com, and tell us about it.
All right, we'll see you guys there, and until next time.
Thanks for downloading, and goodbye.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. Become out of control.
Got a little out of hand.
Very drunk.
Wasted.
To go to a place.
Hit.
To vomit.
Barf.
To happen a certain way.
Turned out.
Medicine you take to cure a headache.
Painkillers.
I agree. I understand.
Tell me about it.
I feel very bad.
I feel like death.
Feel like you are going to vomit.
Nauseous.
Drink alcohol when you have a hangover to cure it.
Hair of the dog.
Vomit.
Threw up.
Lacking water.
Dehydrated.
To beat loudly and quickly.
Pounding.
Let's try that faster. To beat loudly and quickly.
Pounding.
Feel like you are going to vomit.
Nauseous.
Drink alcohol when you have a hangover to cure it.
Hair of the dog.
To happen a certain way.
Turned out.
To go to a place.
Hit.
I agree. I understand.
Tell me about it.
Lacking water.
Dehydrated.
Vomit.
Threw up.
Very drunk.
Wasted.
Become out of control.
Got a little out of hand.
Medicine you take to cure a headache.
Painkillers.
To vomit.
Barf.
I feel very bad.
I feel like death.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Got a little out of hand. Honey, the kids are getting a little out of hand. Can you do something? Got a little out of hand. Guys, this argument is getting out of hand. Let's all calm down. Got a little out of hand. The party last night got out of hand. The neighbors called the police. You have to come to the party tonight. It's going to be a beer fest. It was a real food fest last night at Pete's house. There was enough food to feed a small country. We have to go to Jessica's birthday party. It's going to be a chick fest for sure. Nauseous. It's normal to feel nauseous sometimes during a pregnancy. Nauseous. Every time I get on a boat, I feel really nauseous. Nauseous. If you get nauseous on the plane, take 2 of these pills. Threw up. Carl got on the roller coaster and threw up all over me. Threw up. If you feel like you are going to throw up, be sure to tell me so I can pull over. Threw up. If you have too much to drink, you will throw up later. Pounding. I have a pounding pain in my head. Do you have any aspirin? Pounding. I can't take it anymore. I've had a pounding headache all morning. Pounding. My head started pounding the moment I saw my ex-girlfriend.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to another advanced lesson here at English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we're going to be back in the office.
That's right. We are listening in as somebody gets a little bit of trouble from their boss for being a bit late on a project.
All right, so we're going to be at the office. Somebody misses a deadline. And so, well, how do you handle the situation? What can you do to explain yourself?
And what language can you actually use to talk about missed deadlines and late work?
All right, so let's see why this person missed the deadline, and let's find out what happens.
And so I just wanted to check in with you and find out where we are with this project. As you know, you missed a fairly significant deadline last week, and this will negatively impact the team's ability to move forward with the next stages of this project.
I know. I'm really sorry that I missed the deadline, but really, it wasn't my fault. You see, we had all of these unexpected technical problems at the last minute, and I couldn't get into the database and extract the kind of information that I needed for the data analysis. You know, if the tech guys would have done their job and kept the CRM stable, then I wouldn't have missed my deadline.
Oh, come on. An excuse like that is tantamount to lying. You're essentially blaming the tech team for your time management issues rather than accepting responsibility for the fact that you were procrastinating for the past 2 weeks.
No, I'm not trying to pass the buck here. I know it was me who was ultimately responsible for getting this done. But the thing is, I could have finished on time if the system hadn't gone down. And you know, with everything I've got going on now, I can't afford to waste time dealing with technical problems. I've got a lot on my plate, and there are only 24 hours in a day.
I'm not going to accept this excuse. You're using these small technical glitches as a crutch and trying to rationalize the fact that you've missed your deadline. Look, we have standards, and I expect you to live up to those standards. No more phony excuses. If you're in over your head, you tell me. No more missed deadlines. Now, I want that data on my desk by 9 a.m.
Well, it sounds like this guy isn't really accepting a lot of the responsibility for his missed deadline.
Yeah, exactly. Well, apparently he's explaining that it wasn't only his fault, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So some technical problems, but you know, he used a lot of pretty interesting language, and I think it'll help us to look at that now in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
All right, so on language takeaway today, we have 5 words, and let's start with the first one.
All right, well, the boss is not really happy with the excuse that the employee was giving, and he said an excuse like that is tantamount to lying.
Tantamount.
Tantamount to something.
Okay, so if an excuse like that is tantamount to lying, what is he trying to say here?
Basically, it's the same as, or it's almost the same as.
So similar to.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say tantamount to something else, how would I use it?
You know, Marco, taking my computer without asking is tantamount to stealing.
Okay, so even though I'm not actually stealing it or taking it home with me, it is almost like stealing.
Yeah, and the interesting grammatical thing here is that we almost always use a gerund right after. So tantamount to verb ing.
Okay, tantamount to stealing, tantamount to lying, tantamount to killing.
Okay. Well, on that happy note, let's go on to our next word. Now, the boss was really unhappy with the employee for procrastinating.
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 So the verb is to procrastinate.
Mm-hmm. And when you procrastinate, you say, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow.
Okay, so you kind of delay things or you leave it for another day.
Yep.
All right, very good. So to procrastinate.
Mm-hmm. A favorite verb amongst college students.
I actually thought for a little while that procrastinate was to have babies.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of similar.
Yeah.
What's the word?
Procreate.
Procreate. See?
Yeah.
So for a while, I always thought that procrastinate was like having babies. Like, why are you procrastinating? And I'm like, I'm not.
Well, glad you got that straight.
So yes, our listeners, procrastinate is not the same as procreate.
Okay.
I learned that the hard way.
Yes. Well, it sounds like you had a little bit of a glitch in your understanding of language, and that's our next phrase. So in the dialogue, they were talking about some glitches with the system.
A glitch in the system.
Okay, so a glitch.
Now, this is common among computers, right? A glitch is an error.
Right. So when you're talking about a glitch and you're talking about computers, it's an error, a mistake. But we also use it to talk about any unexpected problem, a small unexpected problem.
Okay, so a small glitch.
Yeah. There was a glitch in our plan and we arrived 10 minutes late.
Or I can say this movie has a glitch in the story.
So there's a small problem in the story that doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
All right. So the employee was blaming his lateness on these small technical glitches, but the boss didn't believe this, right?
Mm-hmm.
The boss said, you're trying to rationalize the fact that you missed the deadline.
Okay, to rationalize.
To rationalize.
So the boss is saying that he's trying to rationalize. So that means is he trying to make sense of it?
Well, this is an interesting psychological word.
Mm-hmm.
And when you rationalize something, you think about it or describe it, like especially some bad behavior in a way that makes it seem better or proper or more sensible.
So you're trying to convince yourself.
Yeah, you're telling other people, but you're also telling yourself that it's better.
Okay, or that you're right when you're actually wrong.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so he was trying to rationalize the fact that he missed the deadline. So he was trying to explain to the boss and also kind of make himself believe that it wasn't really his fault when it was.
Mm-hmm. Now, because this is a little bit of a difficult concept to understand, I think we should hear some examples.
Example 1.
You can't rationalize your son's behavior by saying he's going through a hard time.
Example 2.
As much as I tried, I couldn't rationalize buying such an expensive pair of shoes.
Example 3.
You know it was the wrong thing to do. Stop trying to rationalize it.
Okay, so clear as daylight now, this word rationalize.
All right, and our final word. So the boss really wasn't happy with these excuses, and he said, no more phony excuses.
Okay, phony.
Phony.
Phony, phony.
So phony is basically false or fake.
Right, so a phony statement.
Mm-hmm. A phony watch.
Okay, a fake watch.
Yeah, not a Sony watch, but phony watch.
A phony. So a lot of great words in this dialogue, but as you mentioned, we also saw some very interesting phrases that we can use in situations like this. So why don't we start now with Fluency Builder?
Fluency Builder.
Well, you know, one of the interesting things about English is that we have a lot of ways to make things sound more direct, less direct, harder or softer. And in this dialogue, there were a few examples of how we use softening words to do the opposite, to actually make it a little strong.
Okay, so why don't we start with the first paragraph? In the first part of the dialogue, he said you missed a fairly significant deadline.
A fairly significant deadline.
Now, this word fairly.
kind of, sort of.
So it's not very significant. It's kind of significant.
Yeah.
But in this context, when the person is saying it, it just sounds a little bit softer, but your understanding is...
It's a very important deadline.
Okay, a very important deadline.
So another similar example of this is the boss was saying, you're essentially blaming the tech team.
Okay, you're essentially blaming.
So essentially is like basically or pretty much. So it sounds a little softer, but what he's actually really saying is, you're doing this.
Right. So instead of saying you're blaming the tech team, he adds this word essentially to kind of say, well, basically you're saying it's their fault.
Yeah.
But the context, or you understand that it's actually very direct, and he's saying it's your fault.
Yeah. So he's saying you're almost blaming the tech team, but what he means is you're blaming the tech team.
Mm-hmm. Now, our third phrase is very interesting because it's kind of like a saying.
That's right. So the employee says, I'm not trying to pass the buck here.
I'm not trying to pass the buck here.
I'm not trying to pass the buck.
Now, what's the buck?
$1 bill.
$1 bill. So we understand that he's saying, I'm not trying to blame somebody else or pass the blame onto someone else.
Mm-hmm. But you can think about it like this. Like, imagine he had some fake or phony money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to pass that on to the next person so he doesn't get in trouble.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to pass the buck. I'm not trying to pass the blame, put the responsibility on someone else.
Very good.
But you know what? You know what he really means here?
What?
I am trying to do this.
Because he knew, he knew that it was a fake $1 bill.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the fourth one is interesting as well because it's kind of like a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
The boss said, you're using these small technical glitches as a crutch.
So using something as a crutch.
Now, the crutch is a...
You know when you break your leg,
mm-hmm.
you use those wooden or metal sticks to walk with?
Okay, to help you walk.
Yeah.
So the boss is basically saying you're using these technical glitches as an excuse or as an aid to why you missed the deadline.
Yeah, so if you think about it like this, some people might say, okay, if you walk with a crutch, then you won't succeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So this employee is basically saying, yes, I know that I should meet deadlines, but these problems, these glitches are like my crutch that make me not succeed.
Okay, so he's trying to just make excuses.
Mm-hmm. So, God, Marco, that was a little bit difficult to understand. Do you think we should give a couple more examples?
Yeah, I think some more examples would be very useful, so let's listen to a couple of them now.
Example 1.
I realized that I was using alcohol as a crutch to get through the day.
Example 2.
I think Bill's very capable of being successful, but he uses his disability as a crutch.
Example 3.
Stop using your weight as a crutch. Just because you're a bit fat doesn't mean you can't get a great job.
All right, so a lot of great phrases, great words, and well, I think it's time for us to listen to this dialogue for the last time, and then we'll come back and talk about this aspect of meeting deadlines.
And so I just wanted to check in with you and find out where we are with this project. As you know, you missed a fairly significant deadline last week, and this will negatively impact the team's ability to move forward with the next stages of this project.
I know. I'm really sorry that I missed the deadline, but really, it wasn't my fault. You see, we had all of these unexpected technical problems at the last minute, and I couldn't get into the database and extract the kind of information that I needed for the data analysis. You know, if the tech guys would have done their job and kept the CRM stable, then I wouldn't have missed my deadline.
Oh, come on. An excuse like that is tantamount to lying. You're essentially blaming the tech team for your time management issues rather than accepting responsibility for the fact that you were procrastinating for the past 2 weeks.
No, I'm not trying to pass the buck here. I know it was me who was ultimately responsible for getting this done. But the thing is, I could have finished on time if the system hadn't gone down. And you know, with everything I've got going on now, I can't afford to waste time dealing with technical problems. I've got a lot on my plate, and there are only 24 hours in a day.
I'm not going to accept this excuse. You're using these small technical glitches as a crutch and trying to rationalize the fact that you've missed your deadline. Look, we have standards, and I expect you to live up to those standards. No more phony excuses. If you're in over your head, you tell me. No more missed deadlines. Now, I want that data on my desk by 9 a.m.
This employee got in a lot of trouble for missing his deadline.
Exactly. I think it's a very important aspect of not only Western culture, but also in general, assuming guilt when it's your fault.
Yeah.
In this case, we saw that the employee didn't really want to accept the fact that it was his fault.
Yeah, he didn't say, yeah, I know it was me, I'm sorry, and this is my plan to fix it.
Now, this is very important among cultures because in some cultures, the aspect of losing face is so important, right?
Right.
So somebody may not really want to assume guilt, or they have to because it's part of the culture.
But what's the standard in North American business practice?
I would say that you would have to assume responsibility and take responsibility for your actions, right? And say, yes, it's my fault, I did it, but I'm gonna get it fixed, or I'll do it, or I'll make up for it.
So some good business tips here today in this lesson. Now, remember, if you have any questions about the language or want to tell us a little bit about how you assume responsibility in your culture, visit our website at englishpod.com.
Right, we're always there to help you out, and until next time.
Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. Same as, equivalent to.
Tantamount.
Later than expected.
Behind schedule.
Very important or very relevant.
Fairly significant.
The action of delaying one's work.
Procrastination.
In essence, basically.
Essentially.
To create an untrue story.
Fabricate.
Used to indicate you justify failure with excuses.
As a crutch.
To give the reasons why you did something wrong.
Justify.
To explain bad behavior in a way that falsely makes it seem proper or better.
Rationalize.
The quality of being late often.
Tardiness.
To have an effect on something.
Impact.
Continue, go on.
Move forward.
Coming without warning.
Unexpected.
At the last moment.
Last minute.
Leave tasks or duties for a later time.
Procrastinate.
Blame someone else. Pass on the responsibility.
Pass the buck.
At last, in the end, eventually.
Ultimately.
Another way of saying I have many things to do.
On my plate.
Not true. Fake or false.
Phony.
Too much to handle.
In over your head.
Let's try that faster. To give the reasons why you did something wrong.
Justify.
Too much to handle.
In over your head.
Later than expected.
Behind schedule.
Another way of saying I have many things to do.
On my plate.
To explain bad behavior in a way that falsely makes it seem proper or better.
Rationalize.
Leave tasks or duties for a later time.
Procrastinate.
Not true. Fake or false.
Phony.
Same as, equivalent to.
Tantamount.
At last, in the end, eventually.
Ultimately.
Very important or very relevant.
Fairly significant.
The action of delaying one's work.
Procrastination.
At the last moment.
Last minute.
To have an effect on something.
Impact.
In essence, basically.
Essentially.
Continue, go on.
Move forward.
Used to indicate you justify failure with excuses.
As a crutch.
Coming without warning.
Unexpected.
Blame someone else. Pass on the responsibility.
Pass the buck.
The quality of being late often.
Tardiness.
To create an untrue story.
Fabricate.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Tantamount. Not telling me everything is tantamount to lying. Tantamount. The way you request things is tantamount to a demand. Be more polite. Tantamount. The president's words were so harsh that they were tantamount to a declaration of war. Fairly significant. There is a fairly significant amount of money in that bank account. Fairly significant. There is a fairly significant chance that you will get the scholarship. Fairly significant. The president talked about how fairly significant economic growth is expected this year. Essentially. By not believing what I'm saying, you are essentially calling me a liar. Essentially. The company is essentially laying people off in order to reduce costs. Essentially. Carl essentially told his boss that if he doesn't get a raise, he's going to quit. As a crutch. I realized that I was using alcohol as a crutch to get through the day. As a crutch. I think Bill's very capable of being successful, but he uses his disability as a crutch. As a crutch. Stop using your weight as a crutch. Just because you're a bit fat doesn't mean you can't get a great job. Rationalize. You can't rationalize your son's behavior by saying he's going through a hard time. Rationalize. As much as I tried, I couldn't rationalize buying such an expensive pair of shoes. Rationalize. You know it was the wrong thing to do, so stop trying to rationalize.